Welcome to This Explainer, where today we are diving deep into the hidden dashboard danger. We're going to be looking at some surprisingly explosive, totally invisible threats that are literally hiding in plain sight inside our cars during the summer months. Now, you might think you already know the golden rules of parking in the sun, right? Crack the windows, use a sunshade. But the actual science of what goes on inside that sealed metal box is about to completely change how you view your vehicle.
So, I want you to picture a scenario for a second, because we have all done this. You're running into the mall or maybe just making a quick stop at the grocery store. It's a scorching mid-July afternoon. And without even giving it a second thought, you leave a seemingly harmless, cheap plastic cigarette lighter or maybe your backup power bank just sitting right there on the passenger seat, or tossed in the cup holder. I mean, it's no big deal, right? It's just a couple of inches of plastic and a little bit of metal. Which really begs the question, how dangerous can a cheap 2-inch plastic lighter actually be? We totally tend to view these everyday objects as completely inert and completely harmless. Well, the reality is actually pretty alarming. You're not just leaving a random piece of plastic in your car, you might as well be leaving a tiny, heat-activated timer bomb ticking away right there in your cup holder. Now, I know, that sounds like a massive exaggeration, but by the end of this explainer, you are going to see exactly how the scientific mechanics of heat and pressure transform completely mundane objects into highly volatile hazards. Honestly, that false sense of security we all walk around with is exactly what makes this whole situation so incredibly dangerous.
Okay, let's get into Section 1, the greenhouse oven effect.
To really understand this, we need to start with a truly staggering number, 140 degrees Fahrenheit. That is 60 degrees Celsius. And listen, this isn't some theoretical maximum they recorded in a laboratory under perfect conditions. No. This is the very real, very common peak temperature your car's interior can easily reach on a typical hot summer day. This extreme environment creates a really stark contrast with the world just outside your car doors, and it's the exact catalyst for the dangers we're about to uncover.
Let's look at how fast this builds, minute by minute, because of what scientists call the greenhouse oven effect. So at 0 minutes, right when you park, shortwave solar radiation from the blazing sun passes straight through your car's glass windows. Fast forward just 10 minutes. That solar energy begins transforming into thermal heat, but because your windows are rolled up, it literally has nowhere to go. It's basically a one-way street for solar energy. By the 20-minute mark, your dark seats and your dashboard are actively absorbing all this energy, and they start radiating it right back into that enclosed space. And by 30 minutes, wow, the air temperature inside your cabin is spiked by over 30 degrees. To put that into perspective, outside, you might be enjoying a warm, perfectly manageable 90 degrees Fahrenheit or 32 degrees Celsius. But inside the cabin, you are dealing with a scorching, hostile environment of 140 degrees. This intense, highly localized climate change is happening right under our noses. And it's this specific extreme temperature shift that triggers everyday, totally normal items to act in very abnormal, very dangerous ways.
Which brings us to Section 2, primary cabin fire starters. These are the heaviest hitters. Let's break down exactly what happens when this trapped heat goes to work on something as common as that cheap plastic lighter. This chain reaction is incredibly rapid. Step 1. The extreme cabin heat causes the pressurized liquid butane inside the lighter to expand rapidly. Step 2. As that pressure builds up, the cheap plastic casing actually begins to soften and weaken under the immense thermal stress. Step 3 is the breaking point, literally. The casing cracks or just straight up explodes open, suddenly releasing a cloud of highly flammable butane gas right into your sealed car. And finally, step 4. All it takes is a tiny, almost invisible static spark, maybe from internal friction or just the car's upholstery, and boom, that flammable gas ignites. In just moments, a weakening piece of plastic has turned into an instant cabin fire.
But you know what? Lighters aren't even the worst offenders. We literally all carry portable chargers and power banks everywhere these days, right? Well, they rely on lithium-ion batteries, and when a lithium battery hits temperatures above 140 degrees, it triggers a terrifying scientific concept called thermal runaway. This is a self-sustaining heat reaction inside the battery itself. The internal chemicals begin reacting aggressively, causing the battery to swell up, burst, and, here's the scariest part, self-ignite entirely on its own. You don't even need that static spark we talked about with the lighter.
And a lithium fire is an absolute nightmare. It doesn't just burn, it releases its own oxygen and flammable gases as it goes, which means it continuously fuels itself. It burns so incredibly hot and so fiercely that it can literally melt right through your dashboard in under 3 minutes. Seriously, under 3 minutes. These fires are notoriously difficult for even trained professionals to put out. So, in less time than it takes you to go inside and grab a coffee, a forgotten power bank can completely write off your entire vehicle.
All right, let's move on to Section 3, Sneaky Hot Car Hazards.
Now we are looking at the unexpected fire risks from surprisingly mundane items that people forget about all the time. First up on the list, aerosol cans. Think about your dry shampoo, your spray deodorant, or that spray-on sunscreen you toss in the back. These are factory sealed under intense pressure. When you bake them at 140 degrees, that internal pressure climbs exponentially until the can just fails, turning it into a literal rocket that can blast straight through your car's windshield. Next, hand sanitizer. Because it's got such a high alcohol content, leaving it in a hot car causes highly flammable vapors to gather in the cabin. Again, a simple static spark from touching your door handle when you get back can ignite that trapped gas. And lastly, this one is wild to me. A simple, clear plastic water bottle. If the sun hits the water at just the right angle, it acts exactly like a magnifying glass. It focuses a concentrated beam of intense sunlight onto your dark upholstery that can physically burn a hole straight through your seats. No way, right? But it happens.
Okay, let's talk solutions. Section 4, the Summer Survival Checklist.
We have to translate all this crazy science into a proactive shift in our daily behavior. These are the items you absolutely must take with you every single time you step out of your vehicle during the summer. Your mobile phones and your vapes, because they both contain those highly volatile lithium-ion batteries. Your portable power banks, for the exact same reason. And of course, your disposable butane lighters. Getting into the habit of just clearing these items out of your cup holders and off your passenger seats is the single best way to prevent a catastrophic thermal runaway or a gas explosion.
If there's one thing I want you to remember from this explainer, it's this quote right here. Treat your car cabin like a temporary zone. It takes 5 seconds, but it saves your car. That is the absolute moral of the story. It's just a tiny 5-second adjustment to your routine. Just grabbing your electronics and your lighters before you lock the door. But that one simple action completely neutralizes the physics of the greenhouse oven effect we've been talking about today.
So as we wrap things up today, I really want you to actively think about your own vehicle. Visualize your center console right now. Think about your door pockets and your cup holders. Knowing what you now know about that extreme 140-degree heat your car traps in just 30 minutes and the violent chain reactions that heat causes, what tiny timer bombs are sitting in your cup holder right now? Thanks so much for joining me to explore this incredible topic. Stay safe out there, stay curious, and I'll see you next time.